Delhi's Transport Department had launched an impound and scrap drive against petrol and diesel vehicles in March this year. Now, after much outrage and an intervention by the court against the drive, the Transport Department has now come up with a bizarre solution for seized overage vehicle. The Delhi government is now planning to introduce a policy that would require owners of seized overage vehicles to get a private parking space before their vehicles can be returned to them. Now, in March, the Transport Department had impounded around 15,000 vehicles, including both two-wheelers and four-wheelers, following which many owners had knocked the Delhi High Court's door against the order, which asked the department to release the vehicles that had not been scrapped yet. Now, as per the new proposed policy, the Transport Department confirmed the vehicles would only be released if owners provide a proof of a private parking space, either rented or owned, that is. Now, the department further demands an undertaking that vehicles would neither ply nor be parked by the roadside or in lanes near their houses. The order is seen in direct violation of the High Court order. Remember, Mirror Now carried out an Old Car Not Bekaar campaign where several aggrieved car owners shared their ordeal citing high-handed behavior by the officials of the Transport Department. The Transport Department also confirmed that it would resume the drive if pollution peaks again in the national capital. Across to my guests who join me this evening, Rajeev Bhardwaj, public servant and citizens' rights activist, as well as Nakul Narang, who is in fact an owner who had to go through this ordeal as well. Good evening to the both of you. Thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us here on Mirror Now. Nakul, let me come to you. For someone who had to go through that harrowing experience, this is clear reflection of an apathetic government. First, it was the manner in which the government carried out the drive. Now we see this issue, which is obviously very unrealistic for citizens.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me over. See, Delhi Transport Department is busy making all these policies. Are they even thinking of setting up vehicle inspection centers? What is the intent behind all this? Why are they not focusing on resolving the problem? They should set up vehicle inspection centers. When cars have valid PUC, they have valid insurance, they have valid registration certificate, specifically diesel cars that were registered for 15 years. And in neighboring places, if you leave Delhi, Gurgaon and all still are registering cars for 15 years. So day by day, the emission norms are improving. The rules that we are making are regressive in nature. Why is the government not setting up inspection centers if they have a problem with the cars? Does a car know that it has turned 10 and now they have to start polluting more? And what about the taxes that people have paid? What about the money that has been spent on buying a new car? Is the government paying back the ex-showroom price of the car back to the consumer based on the life that has been reduced? You know, from 15 years to 10 years, 33% of the car life that I had was reduced. Have I got the money back for my car? Refund me that 33% amount of the car, along with the other expenses that I made. Being an owner, I ensured that I get my car serviced on time. I kept it in a top-notch condition. The pollution certificates, everything was there. And still, I had to forcibly sell off the car because I had no choice. And day by day, we have moved from Euro 4 to Euro 6 norms. Euro 6 diesel cars are having almost same amount of emissions as petrol cars. And this is backed by research. So why is the Delhi government not factoring all these things? And if you talk about pollution, has there been a single research done by the government which states that, you know, all this pollution is caused by the cars? And if yes, help me in understanding that why does the pollution not happen during the rest of the year? And how does the same car, applicable or granted fit to be plied in any other part of the country? You talk about places like Himachal Pradesh, Punjab. People are using cars 15 years old, 20 years old, which are, absolutely in fit condition. So why is this kind of a dictatorship that is followed in Delhi? These are not
Absolutely.
DTC
In fact, we're
buses
going to be
which break down
taking
in
that
every...
point across to...
Yeah, these
Absolutely,
are not
Nakul,
DTC
as you make
buses
those
which have
opening
run for
remarks as
lakhs of
well,
kilometers.
there are...
The cars are fit,
I'm going to come back to
they
you,
are
Nakul. Just give me
absolutely
a minute. Let me
sure.
go across to get Rajeev Bhardwaj to also make a comment on this. I'll come back to you. Rajeev, if we just talk about this entire manner in which this was carried out, it's not just Nakul. There are many people who have been doing everything that they need to do in order for this to work out the right way. But in fact, there were no notices also given, which is what we had shown through our campaign, Old Car Not Bekaar. But when we talk about the latest development, in short, it is curtailing citizens' rights.
Nivedana, see, if you see this order, it gives a wrong indication to the masses. Does it mean that the old car cannot encroach upon, while the new car can encroach upon the public place? As far as the parking is concerned, parking conditions exist under the Motor Vehicle Act. If it loses its identity under the Motor Vehicle Act, then it doesn't have a right to exist. Then the scrapping is also the law. If you want to allow an old vehicle to continue, it is akin to allowing a vintage car. If vintage car can be allowed, it can be registered, it can be declared as fit. Then those cars which fulfills the fitness condition can be allowed and it can be applied. Then the Motor Vehicle Act doesn't put any condition restricting its motorability. So the department, I don't know why they are taking decision in a peaceful manner, and this decision are administrative decision, whereas they have to take a statutory decision. They have to take decision under the provisions of the Motor Vehicle Act. They have to take decision. Even the government has to take a decision under the different act, say the MCD Act or any other act, where they want to decongest the town or the city from unlawful parking. It cannot apply selectively to one or two individuals. It will apply uniformly to all the citizens having the motor vehicle. Therefore, this is an action or an order in alibi just to cover up the continuing wrong, some of the wrong which has been mixed with the correct decisions which need to have been taken by the authority. So I don't know how they are going to implement this. Once this will come, it cannot be applied in a peaceful manner. It has to apply uniformly to all the motor vehicles. Parking, yes, no parking should be allowed on a public land. I am for it. Let it be enforced uniformly. Why only on old cars? It applies to the new car also.
Absolutely. And those are, of course, loopholes as well as far as how public spaces belong to the public. Why should, they have to suffer and go above and beyond as far as this directive is concerned? Nakul, would you want to come in on that front and make your point about the fact that we just spoke about how public spaces, of course, belong to the public at the end of the day?
Yeah, absolutely. And we pay taxes for it as well. When we buy a car, we are anyways paying taxes, right? So I don't deny with the thoughts that Rajeev ji has shared. I'm absolutely in agreement with him. And as long as a car is fit to fly, the focus has to be on the fitness. A car that is parked is not going to pollute by itself. So the primary intent of all these activities should be to cut down the pollution, but that has to be backed by proper tests. You have to inspect the vehicles. You have to consider their fitness. In isolation, you can't just put a cap on the age and say that a 10-year-old car or a 15-year-old car is polluting. If that is the case, then why do we have pollution certificates? Why are people penalized 10,000 rupees if they don't have a pollution certificate? On one side, you say that a car that does not have a pollution certificate is polluting. On the other side, you say that a car that has crossed 10 years or 15 years is polluting. Why are we contradictory in the rules that we are making? We have to adhere to the Motor Vehicle Act. The cars have to be inspected. Their life, their validity for 15 years that is granted should be considered as 15 years, should not be cut down to 10 years. And thereafter, if they are fit, they should be further given an extension. A car is not something that people buy every day or every year. It's a high ticket item. When somebody buys a car, we pay 50% tax to the government. 28% goes as GST, 12% goes as cess. At least 8 to 10%, 12% is the registration charge. Over and above, we pay taxes on insurance and what not? From where will people get all this money? Is Delhi government incentivizing people or giving them extra money to buy new cars every year?
Absolutely. Something that, a lot of citizens did tell us before as well. Ultimately, it should be the fitness regime for vehicles. It should be fit to
Absolutely.
buy new cars.
See, it is not the question of new or old car. Even the scrapping policy and the Motor Vehicle Act both provides you to get your refitness certificate done in the registered automated testing station. So if the law permits that, why the Delhi Transport Authority is not allowing your car to go for the fitness test after 10 years or 15 years, whatever it may be? The law doesn't, the NGT has not said that, the Supreme Court has not said that. They have said enforce these things in accordance with law. The law permits testing of the vehicle after expiry, just before the expiry of the initial age declared. Once the vehicle is tested in accordance with the Motor Vehicle Act and the rules from thereunder, notified by the central government, and your vehicle is found to be fit, non-polluting, then your registration gets revalidated. So why, the biggest question is why you are stopping or taking away these legal rights from the citizens of Delhi? This is a big question because the Motor Vehicle Act and this notification applies uniformly pan-India. And as even now the Honorable Transport Minister of Delhi has said that this thing does not have the approval of the government. Then under whose approval? Even the High Court has observed that the order of the commissioner is not in accordance with the law. That was not a valid order. So from where they have derived this validity to pass on this order, day in, day out, they're passing executive order, which is in contradiction to the statutory provisions. Some kind of homework or some kind of seriousness is lacking within the transport department, and it has to be seen holistically. The law has to be seen holistically because why a piecemeal process creating more and more confusion? These conditions, with the condition they have brought it right now, in itself is contradictory. Why it will apply only to these cars? It has to apply to all the cars. I am for it. Let public place should not be encroached. If somebody is abandoning their old car on the street, let it be lifted and scrapped. That right is there under the law. So let them enforce it in a fair manner. The grievances came before the citizen when in the garb of legal action, some unlawful action was also being taken. That is where the grievance came up. In the rights of the citizen to get the vehicle retested or revalidated, that has been taken away. Why it has been taken away, under what provision, and who has authorized them to take away these rights? So instead of addressing this aspect legally and correctly, they are day in, day out some whimsical or some personalized or some individual thought process is coming up in this administration. This need to be seen very seriously because every day in and day out, a confusion is being sent in the public.
Simply put, Rajeev Bhardwaj, what you say is that the law, of course, has to be holistic for everyone, and what every citizen has gone through as far as this ordeal is concerned is unfair. But you put out those points, which is, of course, what we at Mirror Now will continue to ask the government as well. But thank you very much, Nakul and Rajeev Bhardwaj, for joining us here this evening and sharing with us your perspective.